Here's the challenger. He's been in that spot before and prevailed. Evander Holyfield coming from America to Moscow. He's in search of another title.
And you know, I mentioned it earlier, the demeanor of Evander Holyfield just a little bit different than we're used to seeing when he walks in the ring. Not quite as affable, not quite with the same smile, and it could read into more focus, who knows what. But for the most part, it's a different demeanor.
He's not going to let anybody put him down for trying. His self-belief is unshakable. People have used the word, is he deluding himself? I don't think he's ever doubted that he still doesn't have it. Whether that's his image and that's the reality is another thing. Holyfield, very muted crowd. Some people applauding, but he will certainly not be the favorite here in Russia, Al.
He is not the favorite son at this convention.
Again, and I'm going to bring this up if this fight goes long repeatedly, Al, in terms of the focus. Holyfield talked again yesterday at the meeting about people think you just go there and you're real selective and you're older and not going to throw as much. The thinking you have to do in a fight like this, in real combat against a dangerous guy, every moment, he said, those are the kind of experiences I've been through so repeatedly where you can't fall asleep at the switch for a moment. You're going to get your head torn off. Those are the kind of things that are going to help him prevail tonight, that mental toughness.
Or so he hopes in any case.
Right. The crowd getting excited about this man, Sultan Ibragimov. The heavyweight champion will enter last. We'll see what this walk's going to be like once he hits the arena. The crowd waiting in anticipation for the arrival of the Russian hero. He said earlier at breakfast he didn't, he was 218 and change at the weigh-in, doesn't expect to really put on any weight between the weigh-in and fight. So this will be, in terms of weight, pretty even up. And height, well, we'll look at tail of the tape later. These guys look pretty close physically. So the Russian comes into a little, what, American rap music, or what is that?
It's interesting.
The crowd on its feet here in Moscow. Russian Sultan Ibragimov. Fought in Atlantic City and won the title, but the spotlight biggest of his career, unquestionably, tonight, Al. Because the first defense.
Fighting a name that everybody knows, and they felt that he needed this kind of name to help him market himself. And, of course, most important for him to do that is to get a win.
It doesn't count for anything, but he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet and speak with. A humility, but a real sense of assurance as well. Let's meet them both now as we go up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, дамы и господа, добрый вечер и добро пожаловать. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and we welcome you to the Hodinka Arena here in Moscow, Russia, for the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Seminole Warriors Boxing, Golden Boy Promotions, Golden Grain Promotions, Main Events, Yuri Fedorov Sports Lab, Real Deal Promotions, and Samson Lekowitz, in association with NAFTA Moskva and the Seminole Tribe of Florida. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the WBO President and Supervisor Francisco Valcarcel, Now introducing our judges, all from the United States, Dr. Ruben Garcia, Chuck Jampa, and Thomas Miller, and our referee in charge of this bout, Raul Kais. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the WBO Heavyweight Championship of the World. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from Moscow, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing to you first, the challenger on my right, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with purple and white trim, hailing from Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. He weighed in at 211 1/2 pounds with a record of 42 wins, 8 losses, and 2 draws. He has 27 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former cruiserweight world champion, the sport's only 4-time heavyweight champion of the world. Please welcome boxing's true warrior, introducing the one and only Evander, the real deal Holyfield.
Представляю вам президента. Справа от меня в синем углу ринга. Ему 44 года. Его рост 188 сантиметров и вес 95,9 килограмма. Его профессиональный рекорд 53 боя, 40 побед, 8 поражений, 2 ничьих, 27 побед нокаутом. Счастлив представить вам из Атланты, Джорджия, США, Evander, the real deal Holyfield.
Opponent across the ring, the defending world champion on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing red trunks with white trim, hailing from Rostov-na-Donu, Russia. He weighed in at 218 3/4 pounds. He is undefeated in his campaign to the ring with a record of 21 wins, no losses, 1 draw, with 18 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the current and undefeated WBO heavyweight champion of the world, introducing the hard-hitting Sultan Ibragimov.
Счастлив представить вам обладателя титула слева от меня в красном углу ринга. Ему 32 года, его рост 188 сантиметров и вес 99,2 килограмма. Профессиональный рекорд 22 боя, 21 победа, 1 ничья, 18 нокаутов. Счастлив представить вам чемпиона мира в супертяжелой весовой категории из Ростова-на-Дону, Россия, Султан Ibragimov.
Evander Holyfield can box, pressure, counter, slug. We know Iron Chin Al. He is still hungry because he can't accept defeat. It's that simple.
Both your trunks are high. Punches here are fine. Punches here are fine. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you.
Self-belief. I could beat anybody anytime. He's going to have to beat this younger Russian, Sultan Ibragimov.
Well, the obvious differences, you know, the age, they're very similar in terms of height and reach. The weight, not that big a difference. We're seeing, as we said, 2 heavyweights that by today's standards seem smaller and more active, I might add.
Getting ready to go. What do you think of the weight that he is down? The most he's been since 11 years for Holyfield. You know, last fight he was 219.
Yep. Whether it equates now at age 44 with his diminished skills, I don't know. But when he's lighter, he's better.
Holyfield getting the jab off first. He hooks off it very effectively. Ibragimov You box smart, no need to land big shots. That's the strategy early. But just box, fight quick, and move, taking advantage of what they feel are faded reflexes from the former four-time champion. But they were looking at those Tony fights and the Larry Donald fight when Holyfield couldn't even get around that jab, and the Chris Bird fight. Again, the comeback, the four-fight string doesn't tell us a heck of a lot, but we'll see if Holyfield could unload those power shots if the shoulders are free and clear in terms of injury.
Now, Ibragimov in his last fight used a lot of lateral movement and stayed very much on the outside against Shannon Briggs. We already see he's more willing to engage Holyfield early. You're right, they're not looking for monster power shots, but he is going to be less cautious against Holyfield than he was against Briggs.
You make a great point. You know, cautiously moving forward, smart aggression. Holyfield has been a born counterpuncher all his life as well. Look how he schooled Mike Tyson that way. An amazing performance. There's a looping hook from Ibragimov, and Holyfield couldn't make him pay there. Holyfield moving to his left, away from that left-handed power of Ibragimov, so that's a good move for the former champion.
One of the weapons Jeff Mayweather wanted Ibragimov to get going early is the jab. There's one to the body. They think Holyfield can be hit with that punch, and they say even in his heyday, and it's true to a great extent, he could be. Right, and they feel again that his reflexes will not allow him to if you fight quick enough, to counter effectively. Holyfield playing it very cautious. He's got 12 rounds to figure out Ibragimov. He lands that right hand there, so coming forward, the best punch of the fight, perhaps, early. Inside a minute to go, so the right hand by Evander lands. It got Sultan Ibragimov's attention. He certainly has respect for the champion, or for the former champion early. So used to calling Holyfield champion. Yeah, that's true. It's been a while, though.
It has been.
Another little sneaky right hand gets in by Holyfield.
Yeah, Ibragimov not using the jab now as much. He has landed, as you say, to the body with it, but his hands are high. He looks open to the body a little bit, but Evander keeping his distance now. Ibragimov just waving the right hand, almost waiting for Holyfield to commit, and now he'll sink some shots, wrapping him as Raul Kaiz Sr. breaks them up, wrapping to the kidneys of Holyfield as we close out this first cautious but interesting first round. Right hand landed by Holyfield after the bell, but he was in the process of punching. It was a counter shot. If he does that a little more, he'll be in this fight all the way.
I feel. I need more feints. Start playing him up and down with that jab. He got a little mark on his nose. He got a little mark on his nose.
See a little blood on the nose.
Well, here's Holyfield early on in the match, landing a nice right hand. It wasn't quite as dramatic as it looked when we first saw it, but nevertheless it did land. And then on the inside, big body shot. Holyfield kind of jumping and then ripping again on the belt line is Ibragimov. Some of those on the just on the cusp of being low.
Cautious first round, we'll give him that, but Ibragimov, game plan anyway, more hand speed, punch and move, but punch more, fight fast.
And there wasn't that much, obviously, in that round. You know,
but who'd you give it to, Will?
Yeah, I would give that round to Holyfield.
I would as well.
Yeah, he landed several decent punches, and Ibragimov didn't do that much. And there's a little abrasion on the nose, as you mentioned, of Ibragimov.
I don't know where that came from. I shouldn't say obviously a punch. Evander has been known to lead with his head.
That's been known to happen, yeah.
Ibragimov moving left, and that will be obliging to Holyfield. Holyfield hasn't unloaded that hook yet. It's not his only punch. He's got full arsenal, of course.
This crowd has been quieted a bit.
Holyfield's taken him out of the fight a little.
A little bit. It's a little more pensive than it might have been.
And that's Ibragimov, very cautious. Little crossover there. His left hand is so low. He's waiting, or his right hand. He's waiting to unload that short left. But Holyfield playing a waiting game as well. Very tactical as Ibragimov tried to turn over that power left hand, partially blocked by Evander Holyfield.
You know, normally Ibragimov very much a combination puncher who will rip body shots on the inside and to the body and the head. And in the Briggs fight, he didn't need to be that. But in this fight, I would expect him at some point to let his hands go a little bit more.
Well, they're evenly matched physically here in terms of look. You know, same height, pretty close in weight, 7-pound advantage for Ibragimov. But Evander's not going to be bullied around in this fight. We'll see who's the stronger guy in terms of punching power, but he's not going to get muscled around, that's for sure. Ibragimov playing very, very tentative so far. He's really got to straighten that jab. He's not doing it. He's showing it, just looping, laying it out there, and that's giving Holyfield time to pace himself and score a couple of times and back off and punch when he wants to punch.
One of the things we would be looking for in this fight is whether the hand speed of Ibragimov is an issue for Holyfield. So far, it hasn't been.
But now he's opening up exactly, Al, as you say it. You know, hey, a guy in his mid-40s, force him to fight 3 minutes a round. Holyfield has been fighting in bursts, you know, in spurts for a lot of years now. So you dictate the pace as champion, and now we saw glimpses of that from Sultan Ibragimov. Good flurries.
Nice counter left hand a moment ago by Ibragimov. He's ripping some body shots at Ibragimov. He's committed to going downstairs, sometimes a little too low.
Wouldn't you call this cautious through two, though, huh, Al?
Yep, that's exactly it.
Oh, Holyfield touching with the jab and then unloading with the right hand. And that got the champion's respect big time. And he stared in terms of not admiration, but respect at the end of that, Ibragimov.
Okay, look, you heard this guy right there, okay? But look, one shot is not going to do it. We got to do it in combination. But look, all we got to do, look, I want you to keep taking your time, but I want you to back him up with the jab, all right? And let's go get all your punches off, okay? All right, give me a drink. You want some in your hand?
Stick with the plan, man. It worked.
Okay, look, the jab, baby. Look, all you got to do is, he can't set nothing up because he got to use the jab, and he can't because your jab is too good for him.
Early on in the last round, Ibragimov was able to use his quick hands a little bit against Evander Holyfield. Throwing on the inside, good body work by Ibragimov, and then he countered with the little left hand. However, at the end of the round, Evander Holyfield is nothing if not a great counterpuncher. Lands that good right hand, and then when in a moment after that, Ibragimov initiated another action, and Holyfield countered him with the left.
And Ronnie Shields, good advice in the corner of Holyfield. You're not going to beat him with one shot. He's never been a one-shot puncher, so you got to fire in combination. I was impressed not only with the countering, Al, but the fact that that right hand connected off the jab. So if Holyfield does put punches together, it makes him obviously so much more dangerous. Ibragimov got left to the body. Got Holyfield off track. Holyfield trying to figure out the left-hander here. He's content to stand in front right now. Just that little baby jab, not a lot behind it. He'll try to slip a shot, but nothing was there for Holyfield. Ibragimov boxing, moving to the right.
Actually, he's
his left, and Holyfield's right.
Yeah, and that's not such a good idea. He's going into that right hand of Holyfield's. From the lefty, you really want to move a little more to your right. Even though Holyfield's got a good hook, he's got to make you stop moving that way by throwing the hook.
Right. Against the lefty, we always love the hook, don't we, Al? Even as a lead punch.
Absolutely. And I would, if I'm Ibragimov, I would make Holyfield try and throw that punch, see if it's still as effective as it used to be.
Yeah, and then maybe move to your left and hit him with a straight right down, left down the middle. Easier said than done, Al.
Yeah,
it's easy for me to say that. Guys at this level. Sultan Ibragimov, WBO heavyweight champion. Evander Holyfield, former four-time heavyweight champion, going for 5 here in Moscow.
You know, Ibragimov using a lot of feints now, and I think that's a great idea against an older fighter. See if it test him to see how his
absolutely.
You know, his instincts are.
Yes,
good right hooks by
2 right hands from Holyfield in return, and then landing with that hook a little bit. So I thought 3 nice punches by Holyfield as well. So Holyfield could jab and then hook off that jab, or he could hook right hand, but that's what they want. Ronnie Shields wants combinations.
Holyfield
Both controlled and tactical here, but a good round for both. They've had their moments.
Holyfield spars. Oh, good straight left, and
Holyfield covering up here. Wants to go to war. He didn't hold on.
that's the quickness of Ibragimov.
Yeah, and he should punch on the move here and make Evander restart. Just fire off those quick bursts. He's flat-footed now in Holyfield's corner, and Holyfield's going after him. Sinks that left to the ribs.
You know, Holyfield, though, initiating the action, never at his best when he does that, and he was countered by Ibragimov.
Right. Good point. Man, that was a fast third round.
It was, yeah.
Straight left from Ibragimov, but he's not showing the jab at all. Left to the left and a right, so a big finish for the champion here to finish out the third.
Look. Give him a look. So don't just go one way. You gotta get on the outside of that right foot too. Your lead foot. Get outside of it.
Let's get close to this guy now, okay? But look, you got to set the pace now. You got to take the title from him, okay? All right? You got to take
Sultan Ibragimov landing a good counter left hand, and yet another one.
fourth
And
round.
then
Let's
digging
put
the
it
body. And that body work has been very good early in this fight for Ibragimov and could pay some serious dividends as this fight moves on. Those are good body shots by Ibragimov.
Mouthpiece is in, seconds out.
And then at the end of the round, lands a good combination, again demonstrating the hand speed that he has.
Yeah, Holyfield had a couple of good shots in that round, but to me, the champion clearly winning it, huh, Al?
I thought he won that round.
Yeah.
And I think the question will be, how well does Holyfield respond to that kind of combination punch?
Al, interesting, Ronnie Shields in the corner saying to Evander, you've got to set the pace. That could mean one of two things: fight when you want, rest when you want, or it could mean, you know, him being a born counterpuncher rather than taking the lead. So what do you do here? How do you accelerate the pace if you're waiting to counter? Maybe you just do go out and take the lead and try to walk this guy down a little bit. He seems to be moving forward here.
And it's not as if Holyfield hasn't done that effectively in his career, but here, when he does that, you see the hand speed of Ibragimov.
Yeah, he got hit in the exchange, didn't he?
Making a difference.
Ibragimov very cautious there, doubling up the jab. I think he's really got to fire it and work off it a little bit better. Make that jab a real weapon. Give Evander something to think about. Throw it in his face.
Every time I see Sultan Ibragimov fight, I'm reminded that you can throw out the first round and a half in his fight. It takes him a round and a half to get his rhythm going in every single fight, and we see evidence of that now. And you know, it's something that I'm reminded of every time I see him fight, and it's the case here tonight.
Seeing decent things out of Holyfield, but he's really not unloading here. Now he's moving forward, but he's not walking in punching. Still waiting maybe to counter. That right hand cocked. He's showing just touching with the jab. Waiting to unload that right and then left hook. There's the right. So Holyfield sneaking in that short right hand effectively. And now it's Ibragimov moving the way Jeff Mayweather didn't want him to move. Now he'll move to the right.
Stop. Break. Let's go.
Holyfield spars a lot less than he used to. He said, I can't recover from sparring. I used to have 3 sparring partners, work them all in a day. He said now he has to be much more careful, do it just for timing. So a concession, obviously, to his age.
Al, what do you think of the tactics starting with the champion?
Well, I think he's fighting now, especially fighting the right fight, being aggressive in spots, looking to see when he can really get to Holyfield. And Holyfield's being so economical with his punches, he could be giving these rounds away.
Right.
Well, that was a nice counter left by Holyfield.
That hook landed, just grazed the champion. So Holyfield, you know, so far seems to have the legs, seems to have the condition. Doesn't seem like a faded fighter, but he is fighting in spurts here and there. The exchange there, the Russian scores. Now the Russian getting off as Ibragimov lands that jab. If he could straighten that jab, he'd be twice as effective, in my opinion. Really throw it with some conviction here as we close out the fourth. Gary Shields told Holyfield he won that round.
Right now, okay? He ain't gonna be champion for long, but he's champion right now. So we gotta take the title from him. All right? Look, you gotta go with the snap jab. You're just laying it out there. All he's trying to do is land one right punch and let trying to land a left hand. Okay? Keep snapping that jab on him, okay?
Get your feet moving, man.
Okay, okay.
Get your feet moving, man.
There you go. Give me a drink. Hey, let me tell you something, Holden. You're doing great, okay? But you gotta get a little bit busier for me. That's all I'm saying, okay? Just get a little bit busier. That's all. Everything else is working out perfect for you. All right?
I agree with that assessment. The Holyfield has to get busier. I was talking about him not looking like a soon-to-be 45-year-old guy. But again, sometimes it looks like he's just waiting to land a big exchange, maybe.
And you can give rounds away, obviously,
right,
that
as
way.
you mentioned. Now he's on the jab, and so is Ibragimov. I think they both got to get on it and stick to set up that power.
Ibragimov got a late start in boxing, did not start until he was 17 years of age, still managed to get to the Olympic Games or won a silver medal. And he's always gone a little bit against the grain. Doesn't look like he'd be a heavyweight champion, does he? But he is one.
Now he's moving left. Small ring again as Ibragimov buries a left hand to Holyfield's midsection. Holyfield touching with the jab. Now he fired one. That was his best jab in a while. Nothing behind it. So waiting to create openings. And now, you know, that's the kind of thing. How do you create openings? At this stage, he's the kind of guy that doesn't just look for them. He creates them. You could trap guys into things. Set traps.
He wants Ibragimov to come to him, and yet there's Ibragimov landing a very nice straight left hand. Holyfield doesn't get off with his punches as well as he would like these days. It's been the case for a long time, unless he's in against that C-level opposition. But Ibragimov not throwing a lot of punches himself, although he's certainly been the busier of the two.
He has been, but Evander allowed to fight at a pace that I would think he'd be comfortable at. He gets hit by a left hand coming in and doesn't come back with anything. There's the jab now as Holyfield trying to work off it. Well, he'll double it up. Catching those shots. There's the right hand lead, and Holyfield using his strength to bull his way in. He gets hit on the way in by a soft shot from Ibragimov, who lets his hands loose now.
Every time Holyfield is able to bull in, he actually takes more punches than he lands.
Good.
And that's a problem for him. And again, another round in which he has been very economical, and that's being generous with his punches. And Ibragimov has done more.
Well, those are the danger zones, you know. You're getting hit even more and fighting in spurts.
And what combinations we've seen in this fight have pretty much all come from Ibragimov. Nice
good right
hand
hand from Holyfield as he kept punching. He missed with a lot of shots, but he kept punching in close distance and stayed there.
And that's why you throw combinations.
Raul Kais Sr., the referee, not many breaks here. Not a lot of clinches for a heavyweight fight. Oh, good combination. There's that hand speed from Ibragimov as he creates the kind of distance he wants. Holyfield walks into some shots again. Kind of stuff that wins rounds, huh, Al?
Ibragimov is much busier in these rounds, and you have to give him credit for that.
How do you have it?
I have Ibragimov ahead by 3 points. You could make it closer than that, though.
I want you to keep that jab working, but work it up and down. Get him looking for that jab, then drop the left hand in. Good.
Here is Evander Holyfield landing a very good right hand. That was his best punch of the round by far. But then when he bulls his way in, bad things happen like that body shot. Now here, it's the hand speed. He uses the jab as a rangefinder, does Ibragimov, and then throws a three-punch combination, and two of those left hands got in. It's not wildly exciting yet, and it's not definitive yet for either man. But there's a little trend going. that Ibragimov has been able to do more work.
Absolutely. The observation I had on Holyfield's part, he's the guy really trying to mug Ibragimov and, you know, not really put the kind of boxing together, the kind of punches together, and trying to read his opponent more. But he'll just try to get a little wild and get lucky in a flurry, it seems like, and draw Ibragimov into an exchange and take his shots and make it a gunfight.
You know, Holyfield was in Ibragimov's situation. Nice jab by Ibragimov back in 1992 when he gave Larry Holmes a chance, an older Larry Holmes. And nice right on the inside by Holyfield. Even though Holmes lost that fight, he performed well in it, and people criticized Holyfield. That's the danger for Ibragimov here. Right. Even if he wins and performs poorly, he'll be criticized because Holyfield is so old.
I agree. You know, Holyfield's starting to time that jab of Ibragimov's because he's looping it and not really firing it. And he's trying to counter off it. He's been somewhat effective here in the sixth that way. Russian crowd wants the Russian champion to step it up. They're firing quickly. They're waiting for Evander to take a step back. But he hadn't done any of that, Al. Short with those punches is Ibragimov. So Holyfield, good sense of distance.
Ibragimov has certainly not been willing to attack with fierce abandon.
No doubt.
He knows Holyfield's a good counter puncher.
Holyfield got rocked by a left. He walked right into it and got the worst of that exchange.
Yeah, Holyfield landed a good right, but got blasted with 2 punches as well.
So the hand speed by the champion, winning this round for him. He's able to box, control from a distance pretty well, but winning the exchanges, and when you could do both, you win the rounds in the fight. Holyfield simply has to be busier and more effective. He's got to hit the target. But it's a moving target now. Nicely.
It's a right hook from Ibragimov. He hasn't landed that punch too much in this fight.
Yeah, I like the way he's moving now, Al. Both directions.
We talked about the left hook of Holyfield, which was supposedly such an important weapon. Now that his shoulder's repaired, well, we've seen it maybe twice.
Yeah, boy, the champion zipping that straight left lead, and the left to the face of Holyfield makes him rethink.
Holyfield hitting on the and holding and hitting, but Ibragimov hit him with the left hand.
And another left before the bell. Big round for the champion.
Okay, now let's put the pressure on this guy, okay? Well, look, we got to get close, Holy. You got to get close. You got to get in the inside with this guy, all right? Then that way you can rip the combination up.
It's been a long-time story that some suggest Evander Holyfield knows ways in the ring to bend the rules a little bit. Here's Holyfield coming in with his head and blasting Ibragimov with it, leading with his head. And then as they trade on the inside here, Holyfield will, there's a good counter-punching by Evander Holyfield, as that was one of his better moments in that last round, a round in which Ibragimov, for the most part, did well.
Combinations there. You got to go more than one shot. You got to out-hustle this guy now. All right? You got to take the title from the man right now.
All right, second half of this fight, if it goes the championship 12, and Holyfield has to get busier. They want to see the right hand from him. They just want more punches. And it's impossible to argue with that. He looks ineffective with the jab now. And Ibragimov controlling distance here. They need Holyfield needing to really, I think, Al, to get close.
He's got to get in punching range and then be able to get his punches off. His problem is when he gets in that punching range, for the most part, the hand speed of Ibragimov allows him to win those brief firefights.
Right.
And of course, that's the problem. He's 44 and doesn't have the reflexes that the younger man has at this juncture.
Stick and move from the champion. Not your quintessential heavyweight who's going to inhale you with one punch. Fight falling into a pattern. Holyfield unable to unload. I don't think it's reflexes. He just, again, I don't think he can create any openings. And I agree with you, Al. I think the champion's too mobile, and he's got the hand speed.
And now Holyfield pressing the attack a little bit more. Not even, and Ronnie Shields suggested to him he needs to do it, but pressing the attack without throwing too many punches.
Right, not punching his way in.
The problem.
Here. Just feigning, and the stuff's not there. A roundhouse hook clocks Holyfield, drives him back a little bit, makes him restart.
And when Ibragimov throws anything more than one punch, Holyfield never responds. Holyfield can counter one punch, but he never counters a combination. He just retreats into a defensive shell.
Oh, he gets hit by a left and knocked off balance. Another left as Ibragimov begins to string effective shots together.
And I don't want to be cliched about this, but as this fight goes on, Holyfield looks older.
Oh, that's not a cliche at all.
And maybe that could change with one punch, and you never know in the heavyweight division, but right now, that's the way it looks.
Yeah, he's not a one-punch guy. He's got to maybe get into a firefight and get lucky because he can't get his hands out of his pocket now. Well, and now he hit Ibragimov, but Ibragimov nailed him in return. So Evander fighting absolutely in spurts offensively. And it's not going to be enough against the Russian here in Moscow.
Come on, man. Well, you got to pick up the pace now, Holy. Come on now. These some close rounds now. These some close rounds. This guy, you got to take the title from this guy. You understand? Yeah. So you got to get out there, man. You got to throw more punches with this guy. You can't wait on this, man. Come on, all you got to do is put the pressure on him. Nothing happens unless you do it.
Fight like you practice, man.
I've been practicing him.
Holyfield trying to make history. They only got to win 4 heavyweight titles 4 different times, and now he's going for the 5th, this WBO championship belt.
You just look like you're not doing nothing. You got to stay busy with the man. Okay? Come on, now let's go. This is the 8th round. You can and will, but you got to do it.
That's as vivid a wake-up call, Al, as I could imagine. It's straight and clear, and a message, it's the only way to go. He does. Holyfield has to pick it up. And Ibragimov really has to do nothing differently, does he?
I think, and as the fight wears on, no, he doesn't. And we'll see more of those combinations from Ibragimov, but fighting in the same way.
Holyfield bouncing on closing ground. He'll flick the jab occasionally. And it's difficult to land the jab with authority against a left-hander, no matter how experienced you are. We've seen very few rights and hardly, well, we've seen a few effective rights from Holyfield and hardly any of those hooks, as you said, Al.
There's Holyfield trying to counter with the left hook, being off balance and missing by a lot.
And he's not just not getting the kind of extension and the leverage on his shots. And it's Ibragimov pot-shotting him a little bit just with that jab. Really playing it safe.
Sultan Ibragimov, a very deceptively difficult man to fight.
How so?
Because he doesn't look as fast as he is. He doesn't seem, the movement doesn't seem as good as it might be. And he's much harder to hit than you imagine at first. And of course, those quick counter punches, the hand speed, give you problems as well.
Well, I think Holyfield's problem is, again, he's just not letting his hands go. Ibragimov made the play there, and Evander just waited. Nothing came back. So just free shots for the champion. So he'll shoot when he wants like that and back up and reload.
You know, Sultan Ibragimov's worst moment as a pro came in that draw with Ray Austin, which cost him a title shot.
Oh, right hand by Holyfield, a clipping right hand.
It's one of the best ones he's thrown. And you know, in that fight, he lacked focus.
Now Ibragimov, oh, he thought he saw the opening. Thought Holyfield was going to back up a little. He's going to try to run him down and start to really explode those combinations, Al.
Yeah, for a moment there, he thought he had Holyfield reeling. And they believe, he and his corner, they believe in one of these rounds that's going to happen.
Right. Once Evander takes a backward step, they're going to perhaps go for it a little bit. Really, really juice it up offensively.
Now, I think they thought it would happen by now. We're into the 8th round.
Oh, they definitely did, you know. Quick lead left by the champion. And Evander simply, you know, for an experienced guy, the way Holyfield is, who knows how to fight, he's doing a lot of following around the ring rather than trapping.
Not cutting the ring off against Ibragimov, that's for sure. And this isn't that big a ring, as we mentioned. It's only an 18-foot ring.
And not saying that Ibragimov can't hurt him. He's a full-fledged heavyweight. But when do you reach a point, Al, when you got to go for it?
Well, you know, Holyfield's trying. And let's be honest about Ibragimov's performance. It's not great tonight. It's good. It's decent.
It's serviceable, right?
Yep, that's the word.
We see the champion. Listen in.
Good smart boxing. But in and out. In and out. We don't want to stay there. We don't want to stay there too long. Get greedy. Give him a chance.
Here's where Holyfield was able to land a couple of shots early. That was the good straight right hand that was one of his better punches when we take a look at it from another angle. The right hand very low by Ibragimov, and Holyfield able to counter with that right hand. And then later on in the round, they exchange a couple of punches. Ibragimov getting a little bit the better of that exchange.
But don't get no more than that and get out of there. Didn't give him a chance. He's slow, but he still got some power on him.
Jeff Mayweather makes it clear to the champion, Sultan Ibragimov, don't give Holyfield a chance basically to get lucky. Why engage him? Fight quick. Fight fast. Punch and get out. And Al, after 8, how's it going on your card?
I've given 2 rounds to Evander Holyfield.
Could be generous, huh?
Yeah, and that's probably as generous. But
oh, I wouldn't question. No, I don't question your cards. But yeah, I would say top, yes, 2. And some people would say he's one fewer. Okay, so Holyfield, they want him to. He's got to unload. And you start to wonder here with 4 rounds to go. He certainly knows he's not winning this fight, Al. He can't be deluding himself to that point.
I wouldn't think so at this juncture.
So he's got to change up, and we go back to the familiar pattern. Can he let his hands go? I mean, we're not talking about Ibragimov is not Ali in his prime.
No,
he's got quick hands.
It is interesting, though. Shannon Briggs, when he was fighting Ibragimov, and of course he didn't throw many punches, but when he did, he landed some big shots, and it didn't do anything to Ibragimov, and he had a hard time unloading himself. Now, Briggs, it fights like that, and you know, that's part of the problem with the heavyweight division, we might add, because a lot of fighters are fighting like that.
Yeah, Holyfield trying to walk down the champion, but not coming in behind anything.
You know, I thought when this fight started out, Ibragimov was more flat-footed with Holyfield. It's possible Holyfield got his attention with a couple of shots as well, because he has been much more tactical. Yeah,
well, and you hit on that. You know, prior to the Briggs fight, I thought Ibragimov was somewhat one-dimensional. I didn't think he was a great boxer by any means. But now he looks like a great boxer.
You're 100% correct. We thought of him before as a smallish heavyweight who threw a lot of combinations and would be in a lot of exciting fights and be vulnerable. He's turned out to be something different, really.
Look, he hits Evander. Evander just standing there. He had the champion lined up and didn't do anything, and Ibragimov just came back. There's the headbutt warning from Raul Caiz Sr. You know he's doing a good job because we haven't had to talk about the referee much. He's first class. There, triple jab followed by the left hand. Very cautious approach. Very effective, calculated, smart, elusive aggression from the champion.
He's fighting almost the exact same fight he did against Shannon Briggs, and you've said something important here. He may have found a different identity that works for him, Sultan Ibragimov, and might work against even some of the people that people don't think it'll work against.
There's that left hand. He's able to unload that left hand before the bell, so another one in the bank, it seems, for the champion. And Holyfield has, Evander Holyfield, 3 rounds to get awfully busy and maybe get tremendously lucky here.
That's what I want. That's what I want. Right there, what you're doing. In and out. Let's get 2. If we can get 3, let's get 3. But let's not get greedy. Get in, get out. We don't want to give no chance.
With the mouth. 10 rounds. 10.
See, look, sorry. Get him that jab down, get him that jab down. Then get him the left hand up top.
Running out of rounds is the challenger, Evander Holyfield, in his quest for an unprecedented 5th heavyweight championship. And Sultan Ibragimov having things his way, a boxing exhibition. Not sensational by any stretch, but terribly effective now as Holyfield has to rethink. He got hit to the body and hurt. He's hurt.
And that was a legal punch, I believe.
Yeah, he's hurt. He's not covering up. And Ibragimov's trying to finish him. Well calculated. Now he's out again. Could this be a trap? I don't think so. I thought Evander got stung.
Right to the solar plexus. And, of course, he's a good body puncher, Ibragimov. And now Holyfield, this is a different Evander Holyfield right now. Who would have thought it would have been a left hand to the body that would have so altered this fight?
That's well put, Al.
And Ibragimov goes right back down there.
Punches you don't see are the ones that hurt, and when you're 44 to hit on this age thing again, it's not as easy to see well. Ibragimov very, very confident. Can't you see it, Al? Just as the rounds click on, and he knows Holyfield unable to solve him, and he could really do what he wants.
Coming into this fight, Holyfield said that Ibragimov does awkward things I've never seen a heavyweight do. And we're seeing some evidence of that here tonight. And now here in this round, after that body attack really made Holyfield wither, now Ibragimov can do almost what he wants.
Oh, and he just doubled that jab, missed on the first, and sliced through on the second. Holyfield's head snapped back by that jab, and there's that big left. And I think that Ibragimov, as you said, Al, he's seeing he could do what he wants. He may try to drive Holyfield back, but he's still very cautious, picking his shots, and Holyfield just following.
This is a seminal moment in this fight, really. This is the point at which it becomes painfully obvious that Evander Holyfield is going to need something dramatic, and he almost got it.
He tried for it there. The right hand did land. So you always obviously have to be careful. Holyfield talked about that tremendous focus. You know, Al, I think the mental toughness part is you put bad rounds behind you, but when you don't have any good rounds, and Holyfield really hasn't had any excellent rounds, the discouragement could become more apparent. He's just getting pot-shotted with that jab, and Holyfield trying to bull forward and land in close, but it isn't enough in this round.
Okay. All right. You gotta stand up for me. Come on, you hurt this guy every time you hit it, man.
Here's the body shot, and that was above the belt line to the solar plexus that really stunned Evander Holyfield. He kept whacking away to the body, did it, Sultan Ibragimov.
You okay? 11th round, babe.
And that changed this round. Then the jabs of Ibragimov. He doubled with the jab, missed with the first one, was able to get the second one in.
11th round,
now,
okay,
Holyfield at the end of the round landed not one, but two very good right hands. Important to note, he doesn't punch like Shannon Briggs does. Briggs's big right hands did knock Sultan Ibragimov down, so it's not surprising Holyfield
But you
did.
got to do it yourself.
Without work. You got to work.
Come on, you got to work.
Jump on him.
Jump on top of this guy. I'll put him up, Raul. I tied him up.
That's fine.
Go.
Boy, easier said than done. That has been the repeated instruction from Ronnie Shields. Get busy. These are the championship rounds, a place Holyfield has been a lot more than Sultan Ibragimov. But we're here. This is 2007. And the equation is quite different as the challenger is searching in vain for the punch that could turn this fight around. A clear slip, and Raul Caiz Sr. saw that immediately.
Signs of desperation, obviously, from Holyfield as he's lunging in.
And going for it, at least. Holyfield unable to put anything together offensively. He's fought in absolute spurts. Single shots have landed, mostly the right hand. Very little body work from Evander. The hook has been almost a non-factor. He did just land one to the body.
You know, there's a danger for Sultan Ibragimov. What made him kind of engaging and interesting as a heavyweight was that he was this smallish heavyweight that threw lots of combinations, had a hell-bent for leather style. He's found something interesting here against the big heavyweights, but he has to be concerned, will this style make him more or less marketable as a heavyweight champion to fight this way and win matches?
That's an intriguing question.
I don't know the answer to it, and it's not that he doesn't land punches, he does, but it's not quite as engaging as the other style we kind of got used to with Sultan.
He's kept this fight absolutely at a distance. He's fought at the distance he wants, and Holyfield still trying to chase him down, but not being able to close distance effectively.
And when Ibragimov has thrown those laser combinations, they've been excellent, and he's counterpunched very well. He's done most everything right.
Holyfield walking in without firing once again. He just can't find the champion. You see, even if you see the openings again, they close before you get there, right, Al?
And that's exactly what's happening to Evander Holyfield. And you know, as this fight wears down, obviously Holyfield needs something very big to change this.
Yeah, he went for it there, willing to eat a shot or two to land one or two of his own. So return fire from the challenger, the desperate one, we should say.
You know, sitting here at ringside, though, Holyfield has landed just enough of those big shots, and these are heavyweights, that still gives you a moment's pause.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though he's not fighting very well.
Oh, you're right. There is that gulp effect, you know, hey. And Holyfield, you know, not looking gassed because Ibragimov has allowed him to fight at a reasonable pace.
Absolutely.
But he's absolutely been neutralized and nullified himself. He has not been effective offensively much of this dark night in Moscow. And now there is one to go.
Holyfield attempting to make something happen and misses that right hand and goes down. That could have actually caused an injury. He was lucky it didn't. He fell right on the shoulder.
I want you to shake hands, okay, babe? This is it, baby, right here. Come here, great. You okay? You great. Out there, jump on top of this guy. Let both hands go, okay? Look, keep running over to your right. Keep shooting the double right hand, and then bring the hook back behind the double right hand. That's your shot now, okay?
Smart boxing, in and out.
Will we be looking at the final moments of action in a fabled career of a former heavyweight champion? Evander Holyfield needs a miracle. What can he do? How can he change it? And I don't want to undercut the champion at all. It's but as we said, he's fought calculatingly and smart, and not blindingly entertaining. But again, we may be looking at the last of a legend.
Yeah,
and that's an important thing to talk about.
It is, and the question is, if he should lose, would Evander Holyfield finally realize that maybe it's time to stop?
We're going to ask that.
Of course, we have these 3 minutes to go before that would happen.
Yeah. Premature epitaphs are dangerous, and that right hand by Holyfield landed.
Yep.
As we speak.
And that's why we said it's palpable here at ringside, because just enough of those Holyfield shots have gotten in. Now, if the Briggs right hands did knock Ibragimov down, you wouldn't think Holyfield's would, but you never know.
Ibragimov got hit big time on that temple. It looks like it's swelling a little bit above the left temple area. So that was a crushing shot by Holyfield. He's not a single shot artist. He should have enough gas in the tank to put something together. We'll see if Ibragimov now simply plays it safe the final minute and a half of this fight.
I think that's what he's doing, but Holyfield just doesn't have it in him to really attack.
No, exactly, Al. And there, now he is. Holyfield really going for it. He's got to shake off that clinch and just leave it here in the ring.
The clock.
It's his only chance. The clock is his enemy, huh?
Yep, that's for sure. And Holyfield is like one of those football teams that, you know, doesn't pass that much, and they got to score 20 points in the fourth quarter.
There you go. In boxing, it's possible.
Yeah, it is possible, but you got to be able to put it together, even to land the one big punch.
For a hot moment there, he did. Oh. There's another right that has Ibragimov holding on. That was a solid shot.
Holyfield's creating a little drama here in this 12th round with those right hands. They are solid shots.
But again, how much on them, you know, and how much, what's behind them? What comes after?
He's probably going to win this round, Holyfield, but it would certainly not be enough by all logic, unless we're going back to a Lennox Lewis type situation in Madison Square Garden to save him.
Don't tell me that.
Holyfield hit with a couple of good left hands there.
Yeah, people here want a big finish. Oh, there's the bolo punch, and it landed. So a little showmanship from the champion. It is a good way to finish for him, because Holyfield didn't rock his world, but two big right hands landed. The best offense we saw from the former champion. Evander Holyfield trying to get it done, most likely in vain. All the judges from the United States, all of them very experienced. Chuck Giampa, Thomas Miller, Dr. Ruben Garcia. They will make it official. Total the cards now, but while we wait, Al, I guess you're totaling yours up.
I gave Holyfield 3 rounds in this fight, and that may have been generous by 1.
Okay, so those are 10-9s and all the way. Nobody staggered badly in this.
There is, you know, this may be a fight, no matter which way it goes, that doesn't answer every question about Ibragimov. In fact, it's extremely reminiscent, in my mind, of when Holyfield fought Larry Holmes in 1992. He won the decision, probably by about the same margins that we're going to have Ibragimov winning, but there were, in fact, many people that felt it was a chink in Holyfield's armor because he didn't beat Larry Holmes in a more decisive way, and some may say the same here.
I thought it was he did the thing that was necessary to not engage in fight, just pick. It was just more about the pick and fight, you know.
A right hand by Evander Holyfield as he gave some commentary in the corner on his own, but that right hand was one moment that created some drama in round number 12 and gave us at least the possibility that maybe Evander Holyfield would make something dramatic happen. It didn't quite work out that way, but as we said, sitting here at ringside, these are heavyweights, and when a big punch like that lands, you think of the possibility of a fight being turned around. It didn't happen, and this man, we believe, will be headed for a decision loss, Evander Holyfield. Jimmy Lennon Jr. is ready for the decision. Let's go to him right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judge Chuck Giampa scores the bout 118 to 110.
Chuck Giampa 118-110.
Judges Dr. Ruben Garcia and Thomas Miller both score the bout 117 to 111.
Рубен Гарсия и Томас Миллер 117-111.
All three in favor of the winner and still champion Sultan
They love it here in Moscow. Let's go up to Nick Charles, who's with Evander Holyfield.
All right. What I can do, you know, but first of all, I want to give praise to the Lord Jesus Christ, head of my life, and I just think that everything work out for the better of the person who believes, and I do believe.
Big question, Evander, is this it for you?
No, it's not.
How do you think this performance, to what degree, affects your reputation? At this stage, you're going to be 45 next month. Why fight on?
Well, I'm a man of no reputation, so it's not about reputation. It's about me doing what I believe is right and being able to make the adjustment that's necessary to be the very best that I can be.
Well, we wish you well and a valiant effort tonight in Russia, but a failure. Evander Holyfield goes down in defeat unanimously. So that's the story here. For Al Bernstein, our entire crew here in Moscow, Russia, Sultan Ibragimov, still world champion.